and I'm excited about us getting to talk and hear and just kind of go through this together. It's been real helpful to me. So, kind of one of the things is, as trainers and then in the lifestyle arena, we're always trying to grow, right? We're always trying to learn different things. And so we're developing, just like any good leader is always developing. And so one of the things that has really stuck out to me has just been stepping into, I'm just going to check real quick, make sure nobody's trying to jump in, is, just seeing is where I'm at and where I want to go. Just making sure nobody's jumping on. Sorry, my first time there we go. Make sure there, one more. And so this is one of the things personally that I've been wanting to grow in and trying to grow in. And so habits is super important to all of us, right? Like going back, here we go. Perfect. So one of the things that has been really important to me is just taking something that I'm developing in, and then I wanted to offer it as well to all of us, because I think we're all trying to understand where we're at, where we're headed, and where we want to go. One of the things that I've been doing is looking at, about a year ago, there was a book that came out, and it was kind of I was on the forefront of habits, and it kind of took the basic model that has been kind of looked at for years and years and took it up a notch. It was a big yellow book. I don't remember if anybody saw it. It had the whole habit cycle on the front of it, and it was a great book. I read it, looked at it. It took someone and just talked about the memory and the brain. It was it's a very in-depth book. Well, recently, another book came out that's called Atomic Habits. Has anybody read Atomic Habits, gotten to look at it, seen it? It is an amazing book. It really is. And a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today are from Atomic Habits. And so I think it's going to be really enjoyable looking at it. So if you want to get the book afterwards, I'm going to send an email out and let everybody kind of know, hey, this is where we're, if you want to take it to the next step and you want to take it in and be able to digest more, that's where it's coming from. But we're going to go ahead and get started. This is what I'm working from. And so a habit, this is the working definition that we'll look at today, that we're working from. Before we start, I want to say, grab a piece of paper, grab a note card, grab a sticky, maybe your phone, because there's going to be things that are going to pop in your mind. And I want you to be able to write them down. I know a lot of us are journalers. Janet, I know you journal often. And so just being able to process this is where the key is going to be. That's our real heart at Avenue, as you know, is that we take things that we learn here and then we're able to do them when we're not here. So a habit is a routine or a behavior that is performed regularly and in many cases automatically. So think brushing your teeth, right? Like I still have young kids, so getting them to brush their teeth, I'm still trying to develop this habit, right? Like I hope by the time that they're adults, that they'll be brushing their teeth regularly. But for all of us, this is what it is. Think of those things we do without consciousness. Like we put on our shoes a certain way. We put on our pants a certain way. We put on our shirts a certain way. We walk to the car usually through, just a systematic way of doing things. You make sure that you have maybe your water bottle with you. You make sure that you have your coffee with you. You've got a system that you do. Even think about, which I think is the most, if you were to say, Kate, what is the most crucial habit routine to have? I would tell you that I really think that the most crucial one to have is the morning routine. I really think that the morning routine matters that much, that I would put that much weight on it. I think it matters what we do, how we wake up, and then how we do the next 3 or 4 things. It really gets our day going in a way that we want it to go, or it sets us off in a way that we don't want. That's what I've noticed personally, and just being with other clients, talking to also just other colleagues as well, is looking at it and going, man, the morning routine, how I wake up is like, it definitely is something that affects me. So regularly, and in many cases, automatically. So I want you to even take like 15 seconds right here. I want you to think about what are the habits, because we don't even think about this. We're like, man, I always want to have good habits. But what are the habits that we do automatically? You drink your coffee a certain way. You maybe eat breakfast at a certain time. You just think about, you work out at a certain time. You go for a walk on certain days. You call your kids maybe on certain days, or you call your partner or spouse at certain times. Like there is certain routines and regularly perform things that have just become automatic. And so it's good to stop and to say, what are some of those things? Wow, okay. And why does my body do this? Like, why are habits created? Why does my brain work like this? Is because what our body is looking to do, the reason it really synchronizes with habits or routines, why they're essential in our life, is because what happens is it is creating room that we're not using the energy that it takes to do something new. Like all the emotional energy that has to go through when we're starting something for the first time. Like think about it. When you're starting a new job, when you're starting a new rhythm, when you're starting a new, just trying to perform at a different level, the effort mentally and emotionally that takes is so much, right? Like for me today, starting something new, starting our first lunch and learn together, like the next one will not be this much requirement upon mentally and emotionally for me, because it will be something that's getting into being a habit, right? It's getting into being a routine. And so that is our body, it's knowing that our body has this is so that we're successful. If you want to be successful, then you want to have certain habits and routines that are of benefit. And if you notice, what I said is our habits are to create successful, which means the double-edged sword is that sometimes our habits are really holding us back. And so that's going to lead me to the next slide to just kind of explain is cue. This is a habit cycle. Is you get cued, okay, you have a craving, then there's a response, and then there's a reward. And so it's either you're getting cued on something good, or maybe you're getting cued on something that's maybe not as good, right? And so you have a response of how you're going to handle it. You'll get cued, hey, guess what? It's 6 a.m. I'm supposed to either hop on my workout virtually, or I'm going to hop on into the gym. Like you get cued. You have a craving. You're like, I want to go get my workout in because I want it to be done for the day. Maybe you have a response. You get up, you get there, and then the reward is in 30 minutes, you're done with it. I mean, that's how that works. It's creating those habits. It's creating those cycles, those routines that are a benefit. Well, maybe, your cue is simple as, oh my gosh, I just drove past my favorite donut store, right? Oh my gosh, my mouth just started watering and I'm thinking about my sprinkle donut. And then so my response in that moment is, am I going to go get the donut and take off this, like I want the reward, or it's going to be, man, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with maybe what my long-term goal is. And I'm trying to, not eat as many sweets during the week. So it's just deciding what those are. And they all come in different shapes and in different sizes for all of us. But that's what happens to us. We get cued, we get a craving, there's a response, and then there's a reward. So when you're thinking about a habit, that is how it gets created. So now let's look at good and bad. Where are habits taking us? Like the biggest thing that we want to think about, honestly, is trajectory. Like where are we at and where do we want to go? See, that's what we don't think about often when we look at habits, is we're like, man, I have these habits, but I don't really think about where they're going to take me. I don't really think about how they might, in, a year from now, or 45 days from now, or, maybe in 10 days take me. And so it's looking at where you are and being like, okay, where are my habits going to take me? I'm going to stop for a moment. I'm going to see where I am, and I'm going to let myself think about that for a minute. So I want you to even think about it. Some of the habits that maybe you thought about at the beginning that popped in your mind. Well, obviously, if you're brushing your teeth, that's taking you into good dental hygiene, right? But maybe if you find yourself like drinking every night, maybe that takes you into a place you don't want to be in a month, right? So it's being in those places where You just kind of are willing to look at it mentally. Some habits, maybe emotionally. You see a certain person, they cue you, you get kind of triggered by it. It just sends you into a choice of what you're going to do. Am I going to have more reward in being negative towards them, or am I going to have more of a reward by just excusing my way out of the situation, setting that boundary, and headed into being a little bit knowing I guarded my mouth? It's all of those things. Where are our habits taking us? What is the trajectory? And one of the things, if you get into Atomic Habits, I think that you would enjoy is it talks about that it's a 1% change. I don't know about you, but I often look at things and I'm like, I want to take a 10% change in a day, or I want to make a 30% change in a day. I often talk to my husband, and one of the things we talk about is like with the boys, I want to take the boys from like their thought process now, and I want everything to change by the afternoon, right? That doesn't work for any of us, but that's the load that we put on ourselves. And so I would say take a step back. Don't require so much of yourself. Have that 1% chance or that 1% change, and also just look at that trajectory. Really see where are things headed, where do I want to be, where's my habit taking me? This was very insightful for me. We are super goal setting, right? I mean, Cass, we talk about it a lot here. Angie, we talk about it a lot. And one of the things is we'll be like, set your goals, right? Set your goals. And this was super insightful for me is it is hard for me to set goals because I'll vulnerable. I have a fear of not meeting that goal, right? And then I don't want to feel, maybe some of y'all can identify with me. Then I don't want to feel the shame that comes with, I didn't reach that goal, right? But what I realized when I was kind of doing my own kind of soul searching is that it's not necessarily being afraid of setting goals. It's that you don't have the systems in place to reach those goals. And so maybe that speaks to someone today, and because goals are about the result of what you want to achieve. So all of us have goals, right? Like I want to have good connection with my kids. I want to have good connection with my coworkers. I want to, whatever your goal is, maybe it is, I want to lose 10 pounds, by March, or I want to be a good boss, or I want to be a good manager, or I want to be an entrepreneur that just knocks it out of the park, right? But what are your systems? That's where we have to back up as leaders, and we're all leaders on this call today. How are we going to get there? What is the systems we have in place to lead our family, to care for our family, or to care for our business, or to care for our clients? Like, what do we have in place with systems, which are the processes that lead to those results? That's what we have to step back and think is like, man, what is my systems? What systems do I have in place? Here at Avenue, I love it is because Brent will send out his emails and he'll often talk about, hey, here's the system. Let me break it down for you. We're not trying to take you somewhere 0 to 60 like I talked about earlier. We're not trying to have that whole life change happen in one day, but are we doing the 1% on top of 1%? Do we have the systems in place? Do we have the people in place to be able to make it where we want to go? So systems was like super, in my mind was just like super something that I had to think about and look at. And was I reaching it? Was it something that was not in place? And was I going to allow myself to continue to just be in place, right? Like, let's change the system. Let's create a new path. Let's do something different. Identity, y'all, right here. If we were to talk about something that was continually insightful for me as I was processing my own journey, is identity. How we see ourselves is our biggest rival to our healthy habits. Okay, it's not necessarily, and this is going to be interesting, I promise, is it's not just your processes that matter, or your systems that matter, or your goals that matter, right? It's your identity. If I constantly see myself as someone that maybe is always late, or I see myself as someone that's always in a hurry, or I see myself as simple as I'm a hard person to connect to, or I see myself as, well, I'm so sedentary. I'm just a sedentary person. Or it's these labels, this identity that we put on ourselves. And one of the things it shared in the book, and I thought this was really good, is it was talking about a smoker. And someone comes up, you have two people that in their past they were smoking, and they're trying to do something different. And a person comes up to them and says, would you like, a cigarette? And one person says, no, I'm trying to quit, right? And then the other person says, no, I don't smoke. Which one has changed their identity? Think about it for a minute. Which one? They both come with very similar past, but they changed their identity. And so it's like when you're looking at something and maybe it's your, your food choices, right? And so somebody says, and it's someone maybe you've always gone to lunch with, and they're like, hey, let's go eat at this lunch place, and let's get, something that would be a little bit heavier during the middle of the day. And you're like, already made the choice earlier in the week to be like, man, this week I'm really going to try to eat, veggies and lighter during the week. And then maybe have something on the weekend with whoever to celebrate, but I'm gonna let my week be my week. And they invite you, and the two people would either go, well, I'm just trying to not eat like really heavy during the week, or somebody would say, nope, I'm eating this way this week. They've decided, no, I'm really chasing healthy habits. No, I'm more trying to lean into having that half plate of vegetables or whatever. And so it's, you're allowing your identity. But how often you and I have habits or are trying to change our lives? Like, let's just be honest. All of us are, the reason you're on this Zoom call is because you want something different, or it interests you and you're kind of curious. So you showed up, and so you want something different. So there's something in all of us that wants something different. And so we know that sometimes our identity of how we see ourselves has to change. And even what we allow mentally to happen in our brains, it has to change. And so how we see ourselves is our biggest rival to healthy habits. So maybe think about it. Maybe think, I've definitely been thinking about it. I've been thinking about my identity. And are they sabotaging my processes? Are they sabotaging my goals? Is that the reason that I'm not quite reaching my system that I want to do? Here's the part where, the rubber meets the road and we're together, and you're like, great, Kay, thank you for explaining all that stuff to me, but I want something to be different. And so there's so many things that I could go into right now, and I could say, hey, let's start here, let's do this. But where I want to start is just this practical ideas. And I want to go through these with you real quick. Let me get one thing set up real quick. Here we go. Is practical ideas. Number one, okay, we're going to get real specific. This is why I wanted you to have your piece of paper, is because I want you to write this down. Obviously, I'm going to send this to you so you can look at it at a different date. But number one says, and it gets real specific, is I will at this specific time. So whatever behavior it is, this is when you're trying to create a new habit. You're trying to do something different. I will at this specific time in this location, this is what I will do. So it could be something as simple like this. A couple examples would be, I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. I actually have a client that's taking a Spanish class. And so one of the things is practice, right? And so I will practice my Spanish at 6 p.m. in this location. One of the things that's really helpful when you're creating a new habit is having a specific location that you want yourself to be. So if there's a chair, so for me, let me explain a little bit of my practical habits. Is in the morning, I wake up, I have my morning routine, brushing teeth, taking vitamins, fixing a cup of coffee, and then I literally have one chair that I always sit in. Not to be weird, not to be any of those things, but because I know in that chair, my mind, my body, and my soul no, this is what happens in this chair at this time. And so it allows my body to physiologically, mentally, and emotionally connect, and for there to be productivity. And so that's what I would even encourage you. Is there a spot that you need to be so that you can do the morning routine or the things that you want to do? So space matters, context matters. Cass and I were even talking about that before we started today. Is just the context of where we are and what we want. They have to align. And so for me, that's how my morning routine aligns, is I'm going to do this at that specific time in that specific location. Well, maybe there's something you just want to add in. So here's another thought. This is called habit stacking. Okay, number 2. So after my current habit, I will have this new habit. And so one of the things that could be is right here. Let me just give you an example, maybe on meditation. After I pour my cup of coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. Maybe that's the new habit. And so what you've just done is you've habit stacked. You've taken one thing that you feel completely awesome about, right, Dan? Awesome about the coffee, right? But then you're coupling it with something that maybe is a new habit that you're unsure about, right? You're not quite sure, will I be consistent? Not sure that I will be able to get it in how I want to do it. And so being at a place where you're like, after I drink my morning coffee, I will, and it's real specific. So if we just set, something far out there, and we're like, man, I really hope I reach that. It's kind of like in workout goals, right? It's like, man, if I really hope that I walk, 2 miles each week or whatever, and you only are getting out there maybe 30 minutes, that may not happen, right? So you have to go at this time, when I get home from work, I'm going to go out on a 30-minute walk. And so it's coupling those, it's putting them, it's stacking them together. So if there's things that you're trying to develop, or there's things that you're trying to do differently, this is really, really helpful. Again, when I was assessing myself and kind of looking at my own life, one of the things I noticed is I usually wake up at a certain time every morning. Well, I noticed that I was letting myself hit the snooze maybe 1 time, maybe 2 times. And I noticed that slowly yet surely, I was backing myself into a time that was actually pushing on me to be able to not be in my chair at the time I wanted to be in my chair, right? And so I was like, nope, get back to. And so maybe there's some things that you stepped away from just slightly. You're like, man, I'm hitting the snooze button maybe 2 or 3 extra times. Or maybe I'm having, 6 cups of coffee and I really was trying to stick to 3. It's those things where maybe there's some things we just need to get back to. And so using this practical, just filling it in, I think would be super, super helpful when we're trying to do that. So if you're like, man, Kay, all the things that you've shared, it's been so great. I've been able to take what you've given me. I've got some thoughts. This is all going to take us all sitting down and going, man, there are some things that I want to, couple. I want to stack. I want to habit stack. There's some other things that maybe, I need to start, and it's completely new. It's the 1%, addition that you're trying to do each day. But if you need to chat and you're just like, man, I need to chat. I need to sit with you. I want to tell you the 2 things that I'm working on, or the 1 thing that I'm going to start. Like, I would love to know. I would love for you to reply to my email and let me know, like, what you're going to do. I'm going to send you an email after this. It's going to have the Zoom meeting on it. So if you want, you can look at it again. You can kind of see where things are at and where you want to go. And we can talk. But I would love to help you get where you're going, help you get wrapped around, okay, what does that look like? What does your morning routine? Maybe you don't have a morning routine, or maybe it's your night routine that's throwing you off a little bit. If there's anything that we care about a lot as well at Avenue, it's your sleep routine. What are you doing? When we, for those of you that had kids, it was like bath, bottle, bed, right? BBB. It was like bath, bottle, bed. And so maybe there's some things that we need to get in order so that you can have the success, because that's what this is about, y'all, is having the goals, but having the system so that you can be successful, because that's what we all want. We all want to be successful in what we do, in the people we lead, caring for the people that we're around. That's who we want to be. So if you want to chat, I'm going to shoot you an email with a Zoom, and then I would love for you to respond. I would love to know what you did in your habit blocking, and what you think, which one. I would love to hear about it. I would love to know about it. So even if you want to send that one line back to me. So I hope this has been super helpful. Again, care so much, and know that if there's anything that I can do for you, I want to. And I hope that y'all have a really good day. Thanks again for pausing in the middle of your day to hop on in this Zoom. There's going to be next month, there's going to be one coming as well. I'll be more in touch about that. But I look forward to hopefully seeing each one of you. And I want to tell you, invite a friend, like someone that doesn't go to Avenue. Be like, man, jump on this. Like, I'm getting way encouraged by just being on this Lunch and Learn. I'm learning. And so everybody's got 30 minutes. You know, that's what we believe here at Avenue. And so can't wait to hear from you. I hope you have an amazing day, and let's be in touch. See y'all later. I'll see y'all later on. Bye. See y'all later.
Bye.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Kay. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. See y'all later.
See ya.
Good job, Kay.
Bye. Thank y'all. Thanks for hopping on. I don't know how to get out of here. I'm trying to get myself out of here. Trying. I can't see my. There we go.